Hey guys, and welcome back to Shredcraft RC. I'm Cam, and yesterday when I was scrolling around on Instagram, as you'll see here, I saw that Hobbywing just released a fresh update for the XR10 Pro, and I figured I would show you guys how I go about updating the ESC. As you would know if you watched my last video, you would have seen that I've upgraded to the XR10 Pro G3 ESC, and then this will be the same process if you have the XD10 Pro and a Wi-Fi module or Bluetooth module. This will do both and connect to the device of your choice. So I have my iPad here. I've gone ahead and I made sure all the software is up to date, and then I'll get a battery, plug it into the car, plug in the Wi-Fi module, and screen record this so I can show you guys the new features of this fresh Hobbywing update and also how to update your ESC. So stay tuned and I'll get you guys on a different angle and I'll show you how I get this done. Alright, I've got the car here. I've got the OTA programmer. I'm going to take out the rubber grommet. I've also got a battery in the car plugged in, ready to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn on the car, and then I'm going to load up the Hobbywing Link V2 app here. Got the Hobbywing app loaded up. I'm going to go ahead and connect to Shredcraft, which is my link. Now that that's connected, we're going to go over to firmware update. This will check the information, and then I'm going to hit firmware update. It's going to give you this warning just to make sure you're not doing anything on the trigger. It's going to analyze the data and it's going to begin the update. After you make sure that your iOS software is all up to date, make sure that the Hobbywing app has been updated, and then you go into the update once it's read the ESC. And it'll just be a minute here for it to update. So firmware upgrade successful. So we are going to restart the ESC. Basically turn it off. And then restart. Relink. We're connected. We'll go into the parameters and I'll talk about some of the things that I've changed and modified, and then I'm going to head to the track, test this out, and possibly make some more changes to make the car feel a little better. So I am in the advanced settings mode. That lets you kind of fine tune the drift and turbo and timing a little more. And so all this top section, I pretty much leave everything as is. I leave the throttle rate control and the throttle curve. That's something that's going to be a little more subjective to how you want the car to feel. I like driving a linear throttle because it's consistent and you know where the position that your finger is on the trigger. And where the changes I made were the drive frequency, and this is the difference between the XR10 and the XD10, is the XD10 goes up to 42,000, where the XR10 goes to 32,000. And how I've changed that is I go into my softening values, and I've actually bumped this up, comes at 15 stock, and I went up to 20 degrees. And I turn the range up to 35% from 30%, and that's just a little softer on the lower end. So then when I get more into the trigger and I need more wheel speed, then the ESC will pick up and start going. I leave freewheeling disabled because then that allows the drag brake to work. Your drag brake functions aren't going to function if the freewheeling option is enabled. And then RPM decrease rate stays at 1. Now this was something I saw a bunch of comments on the last video, was running drag brake on an RC drift car. And you can't always just believe what somebody tells you on the internet, because depending on track surface, the electronic setup, and the motor that you're running on your car, you're going to have different drag brake feelings. Now I am running the D10 from Hobbywing, and this has a very free spinning motor with the magnets, so I do turn drag brake on between 10 and 12% because I am running this car on polished concrete. So it's a super low friction surface, and having a drag brake on lets you come off the trigger without going all the way into the brake and having the car initiate the drift. So that's something that I like to have, and I turn the frequency down or up, if you will, to 12,000. So it's a little smoother, but still a pretty hard hit to initiate the drag brake, and it kind of helps initiate the drift while drifting. I turn the maximum brake force up to 100, so then when I do get into the brake, it does lock up the wheels, and I do that for when I'm chasing behind a car in drift while tandeming. If they need a checkup, I can get on the brake really fast and have it stop the wheels so I'm not smashing into them. That's something nobody likes when they're RC drifting. If you're not comfortable tandeming, get comfortable driving laps alone before you get onto somebody's door, scratch up their nice paint job. Brake curve, don't mess with that. I don't mess with the ABS force and this frequency. Now boost, I did turn my boost up to 8, and I have that start at 7,500 RPM, and I have it end at 25,500 RPM. So my turbo timing is at 8 degrees. And this is something I might play with tonight. So I'm going to put that back down to 7. The turbo delay. For how much delay there is for that turbo to spool up. So maybe I'll play with that tonight as well. Feels good. The increase rate as well. I have that turned up, which I don't think I need. I'm going to go back to the stock setting for that. And then I'll know tonight when I'm tuning, I'm going to play with my turbo and boost settings. And then you have your data logging here. So if I even look at the max RPM that I ran last time, it was only 42,000. And I have, okay, so boost is about half of that, give or take. Minimum voltage, your max current, and then your max temperatures. So this thing barely even got warm at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, and the max motor temperature was only 84.2 degrees Fahrenheit. So polished concrete, it makes sense, very low friction compared to P-tile or carpet, and the motor's not working super hard to keep the wheels spinning. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm going to pack this stuff up, get to the track, and I'll get some shots for you guys of this thing driving and let you know of any of the changes that I make based on the feeling that I'm having with the car tonight on track. So I'm going to hit save, and that's going to load everything onto the ESC. Saved successfully, and I'll go ahead and disconnect this and turn the ESC off. Remove that, put the little rubber grommet back in, pack up, and head to the track. Well guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching the video. I hope there were some helpful tips and tricks in there that might help you update your ESC or how to program your ESC. This is something that I play around with all the time, so I'm always tuning and changing aspects, and I'm still figuring out this XR10 Pro G3 from Hobbywing in relation to the drift car. Now, what I did notice is that it doesn't have as high of drive frequency as the XD10 Pro, which goes up to 42,000, and the XR10 Pro goes up to 32,000. So that's your pulse width modulation and kind of how smooth the car feels on and off trigger. But there are ways to tune that, as you've seen in the video, how I play with the softening values in the softening range, and how all that kind of combines to make a smoother overall operation of the ESC. We're really close to 15,000 subscribers, so I just want to say, if you guys got a friend in the hobby or just getting into the hobby, make sure you send them over to my channel to check out all the tuning tips and tricks videos that I've made over the past couple of years. I've gotten tons of feedback on how much the alignment videos helped people out, and then I've also heard a bunch of stuff on how people have enjoyed the ESC tuning videos and how to set up their electronics on their RC drift cars. So I think on the next videos I'll be making, I wanted to go into different differentials, because that can play a big difference in how the car feels and how the drift car performs. And I also want to hear from you guys and see what you guys want to see next on the channel. Thanks for checking out the latest video, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. And be sure to tune in for more awesome RC content from Shredcraft RC. Peace.